Hi there, this is John Drew from Elevated Planet and the Twiglet Zone. The Twiglet Zone is the place we put the stories that will likely test the boundaries of your reality. The information I put out there represents my truth, but it is for you to decide whether it is your truth or deluded nonsense. I would urge you to keep your mind open and keep the information stored in case things happen that could cause you to reconsider your version of reality. If that does happen, do not try to cling to your now outdated version. Instead, fearlessly awaken to a new truth and let that empower you. We are, after all, so much more than we have been encouraged to believe. So here we go. Fantastical tales accompanied by a savory snack. This is the Twiglet Zone. Hi there, this is John Drew here from Elevated Planet and the Twiglet Zone. I just felt the need to really just unscripted, just get on the camera and talk a little bit about the stuff that we've been learning recently. We did our program on Sunday last where we included some of the work of Pam Gregory and Amar Energy. And it was really interesting because it really was quite thought-provoking, talking about energy. And we know there's been a lot of energy coming into the planet for quite some time now, for many years, in fact, decades. In fact, it was quite interesting. I did an interview with a lady called Sheila Seppi going back maybe 2 years or more. Sheila's brought out a book which was really, really interesting. And she was a walk-in soul exchange, which for those who don't know what that is, it's when one soul energy, because this is what we are, right? We are the physical vessel is powered up by consciousness, right? We're mind, body, spirit. We're a three-part being. Now, Sheila's physical body had had enough. The soul wanted to exit, too far off life path, all the rest of it. And so there was an agreement that there would be a soul exchange because you don't want to waste the physical vessel. Normally, we're born into this as babies and go through the entire lifetime. That's the normal way of things, as we all know it to be, right? But occasionally, there can be opportunities where one soul wants to exit and there is a usable physical vessel that new consciousness can come into. I know it sounds weird. This is why it goes on the Twiglet Zone, right? But Sheila was explaining to me, and again, this book is amazing. I'll put it up here just so you can see it and you can go and choose to explore it. But Sheila was saying that before she became the soul exchange, and she only got to learn this through the likes of hypnotic regression and everything, because when she comes in, she didn't know for a long time that she was a soul walk-in soul exchange, because again, you got to go through this veil of forgetfulness thing that we all do upon birth. She had to go through the same thing, except that she was born into a 30-year-old body of a lady who had kids and a husband and a house, but was in very, very poor physical health, which she was able to remedy, including moving out of the marriage, moving state, and opening up various healing centers, predominantly in Colorado, starting up her own TV enterprise as well to be a source of places where people could put videos like this onto and, sort of share the high frequency energy. But one of the things that Sheila said was that before she came into her physical vessel that she's in now, she was outside the planet. She was on a spaceship firing photonic light energy into the planet. And not just their spaceship was doing this, but also various other starships, spaceships around the planet were firing photonic light energy as part of the ascension process. Now, the ascension process that Gaia Mother Earth is going through right now, this upgrade began quite some time ago. But it's been accelerating in recent times because of all these solar flares, solar activities, and everything. And indeed, Drumvalo Melchizedek has been talking about this actually just last month. Drumvalo, for those who don't know him, was the author of The Ancient Secret to the Flower of Life, volumes 1 and 2, and volumes 3 and 4 some 30 years later, are just being pulled together. Volume 3 will be available probably right at the end of this year, having gone through the publishing side of things and the translation into numerous languages. Drunvalo's work is amazing, but Drunvalo's been getting very excited because what he's been saying is that the great solar flash, which many people know about, I've got it, on my door back over my right shoulder. There's a poster there which came out a few years ago, and the Great Solar Flash is one of the things. The poster itself is quite remarkable. Anybody who wants to see it, I can probably get a small copy of it to you. In fact, I had a couple actually printed out in a decent size. And it talks about all the weird and wonderful things that are going on in reality on the planet, which very few people would know about unless you're on the awakening journey. Anyway, I digress. So Drunvalo has been talking about this great solar flash that is going to ultimately raise the consciousness on the planet across the board. There will be no hiding place anymore. People won't be able to ignore it. They will have to accept that this is now an opportunity for us to raise our frequency and get more into what we're really all about, which is really living from the heart, not living from the duality of the mind, not being drawn into the false narratives that encourage us into this denser energy of fear, anger, division, which is very prevalent on the news. If you're a news watcher, you will be very familiar with that. You will probably watch it and then come away from it feeling angry, feeling worried, wondering where the financial world is going and all the rest of it. And yeah, there's going to be some substantial changes that are going to take place. But, the density of the news is created by design. It's designed to keep your frequency as low as possible, because in doing that, you then put out into the quantum field that really low frequency energy. And what goes on in the world is the sum total of every piece of, like, if there's 8 billion of us, there's 8 billion sort of like energetic influences out there that create the collective consciousness that create the world around us. And for the longest time, we're talking thousands of years, there have been powers that have been trying to keep a lid on our consciousness. The reality is that we are now growing up to realize how much more we are than we've ever been encouraged to believe. Let's put it that way. And as you start to see through the veil of illusion that's been confronting us for the longest time, then you can choose to exit it. You can choose to step into joy. You can choose to step into higher frequency energy. And that's where we're heading. And as we do that collectively, then it makes a massive difference. Because you've got to bear in mind that when we come together, if we come together 100 like-minded people, all with that same high frequency energy, and we work together as a collective to raise that frequency, the value of that is not 100. The value of that is 100 times 100, because that high frequency energy squares. So it becomes the energy of 10,000. So then if you get 10,000, then wow, then you've got to start adding up how many noughts you've got there in totality, right? Because you're starting to get into the value of millions. And as humanity awakens to this opportunity, that is exactly what is going to happen. Coming back to the original point, apologies for all the shooting off at tangents, but it's exciting times and I get a little overexcited. But yeah, this energy that has come into the planet, like what Sheila was doing before she came into her physical body, and the solar flares that are coming through on a regular basis, the plasma clouds that the sun is sending in our direction as well. It's all energy, and it's all hitting Mother Earth. The energetic field that surrounds the planet is very low right now, which means that more of that energy gets through to the planet itself, or herself, if we want to focus on the fact that planets are living conscious beings, as indeed Gaia is. She's a high frequency in a being. The physical body is effectively part of Gaia. I mean, it's just on loan to us for this physical experience until we go back home back over to the other side. But anyway, so all this energy comes in, and what happens to it? Okay, well, we're going to see massive earth changes. I think that is pretty clear. And that's not to drive fear, because, this is part of an ascension process. The Gaia Earth ascension process was created by the being known as Thoth, who also created the pyramids, who also created the light grids that surround the planet. This is the Twiglet zone, so I can talk about this kind of stuff. But there's plenty of evidence, and if anybody ever has curiosity about where all this comes from, drop me a message, right? Drop me a message through elevatedplanet.life/contact page, and you can ask me any questions you like, or just tell me that I'm full of deluded nonsense, whatever you want. We're all exactly where we should be, right? This is my journey, yours is your journey. We're all unique for a reason. So this energy comes into the planet. What happens to it? Okay, yeah, we get volcanic eruptions, we get earthquakes, we get weather patterns, some of which are natural and some of which come back to the likes of manipulation through weather weapons, which have existed for quite some time now. There is so much goes on this planet that at a mainstream level just totally bypasses us completely. We don't realize just how our strings have been pulled for so many years. But we will. We're finding out now, and the truth shall set us free. So, as the energy comes in, it comes in the form of chaos. This is what we're seeing playing out on the planet right now. We're seeing a lot of chaos. And we're going to see a lot of the old systems breaking down. We're going to see everything from government, financial, healthcare, corporate, all the systems that really do not serve humanity. They serve alternative interests. Let's just put it like that. Because beyond it, what we realize is that we are far more powerful. We don't need these dense energies. We do not need a health system which is loaded against us. That's not to ignore the fact that there are a lot of excellent healthcare practitioners out there doing their level best to serve humanity. And I honor them. Thank you. But at the end of the day, what has been suppressed is how powerful we are at healing ourselves for that matter, but also for many healers, people who are born in as healers, energetic healers, or who have the ancient knowledge of how to heal, through natural resources that are around us, not a case of feeding us a bunch of chemicals that actually create as many problems as they resolve and don't actually often resolve the underlying health issue at all, which is often one where we are out of balance with how we are supposed to be, which is not surprising, the way that the world is set up so chaotically at the moment. So this energy comes into the planet. It does create all these natural events. Mount Etna just erupted yesterday, which was not surprising because we're in the middle of one of these geomagnetic solar storms, and we were kind of like calling that one already. It may dissipate a little now unless anything more triggers off from the sun. But for now, but there might be some aurora borealis out there tonight or whatever. But it's always worth checking out because these things do manifest themselves into various forms. So the energy of chaos is all around us. It's kind of how the energy comes in. And energy never dies, as we know, right? So that's just everything. Like we are physical, everything is energy. Everything you see in this room is all consists of energy vibrating at a very unique frequency for it to be what it is, including the physical vessel that we all have. So when this energy comes in, we effectively can become magicians, if you like. We can manipulate that energy, and we do manipulate that energy, whether we do it consciously or unconsciously. If we're unconscious and we're drawn into the false narrative of the news, let's say, and we fall into that division energy, that anger, that despair, that fear, then basically what you're doing is you're quantumly entangling with very low frequency energies. So what you're doing is you're taking energy out of the atmosphere, converting it through yourself into denser energies, because that is kind of your now contribution to the collective energy field and not doing yourself any favors at the same time. You have choices. You can look at it and think to yourself, well, I don't have to think of it in that way. I want to visualize the future that I want. This is all part of manifesting. Okay. There are 12 universal laws that are the stuff of reality. Education system has to be completely rebirthed as well, as so many other things are going to be rebirthed. Because the education system should be telling us that there are 12 universal laws and this is how they work. And we are all magicians if we know how to work our way around it. Now, I don't claim to be a magician, but any more than anybody else, right? But I do know that if I focus my energy and my intent from the heart in a loving kind of way, if I'm out there trying to help me be the best version of me that I can be, and then I can be this beacon. That is my intention. However you read me is up to you. You think I'm just full of nonsense, or whether you actually resonate with it. I can just do me, right? That's it. I am who I'm supposed to be, authentically me. This is the authentic me. And and that's not to say that anybody is perfect out there, because we come to this planet because we have a life path to follow. And part of that is to have challenges. Part of it is to have deficiencies that over our lifetime we can spot the deficiencies and we do something about it. We're not designed perfect because for a reason, right? It's because of soul growth. So the challenges, you have to start to see them as setbacks. Setbacks are often opportunities for growth. They're not here to stop you in your tracks. It's to take away, what is the lesson that I needed to learn from X? That's it. So once you've got there, then you can kind of learn and you can grow. You can overcome that and you move forward. Now, if you don't learn that lesson will repeat itself. It's an amazing structure. Honestly, it boggles the mind. And the fact that we have a team here as well. This is not just me. This is Team John Drew here. There's 50 trillion cells that make up Team John Drew here in the physical. But then there's the energy body that surrounds me. I've got a higher self out there as well that can see things so much better than I can, because I'm here stuck on Earth with a limited view of everything that's happening, whereas the higher self sees everything and knows what is in my best interest. So I feel I know what's in my best interest here in the physical body, but I know that my higher self really does know what I need. So I always kind of learned to defer to my higher self. So I have a vision. I have a vision for Elevated Planet and for the Twiglet Zone to reach millions of people, for starters. For us to have live events where we can go and talk about this kind of stuff, where we can, create our community and get our community working alongside me and Joe Lay and everybody else that's involved with Elevated Planet, so we can come together as one, because we're all equal, right? There's nobody better than anybody else out there in the world. It doesn't matter whether you're a president or whether you're a drug-addled addict homeless on the street somewhere. Equal value, absolutely equal value. And that is the new earth paradigm. That is where we're heading, is acknowledging that everybody has that equal value and everybody has a role to fulfill. Everybody has a role to fulfill on this planet of equal value. So coming back to the energy of chaos, we have the choice to focus on the world that we do want rather than the world that is presented to us, which is designed to drag us down. And then we funnel our energy into that. Meditate, pray, do whatever it is that works for you, right? There is no one size fits all. You are unique for a reason. You can find the way. I mean, here's the way, one of the ways that I do it best, right? In terms of connecting. It's often like when I wake up at 3 in the morning and I'm in that stage of half sleep, which is the theta state, theta brainwave state. And that's a state which is very conducive to connection to the higher realms. So at that point, I kind of start going through my gratitude list, and it's a long, long list. I have a lot of really good stuff in my life because I focus on the good stuff. I focus on what I'm grateful for. I focus on gratitude for our beautiful home. Focus on my relationship with my fiance that is a beautiful relationship. And over there, Nala dog, there she is, sleeping off the excesses of going for walkies not that long ago. Um, I have a lot to be grateful for, but that connection, then I feel the connection to higher self, to teams of guides, angels, masters, whatever you want to think of them as. That is the higher connection. And basically, I just like lay there with a big stupid grin on my face till I ultimately fall asleep again. But to me, this is a connection point. I can do the same thing through meditation here as well, through focused intent to just still the mind. Breath work is incredible. Honestly, Isa Vasanti did some work recently where we advertised this through Elevated Planet. Breath work is mind-boggling. It's like having the highest high, which could be drug induced or alcohol induced. Imagine your highest high, but it costs nothing because all you've done is breathe in a very set pattern for a set amount of time. And then, wow, these neurons are firing all over the place. Your body is tingling head to toe, and you feel that sense of connection. Wow, all this is available to us. So getting back to that chaotic energy, we have the choice of shifting it around so that we are channeling energy and we are channeling it into high frequency, love, joy, gratitude, celebration of life, selflessness. What else? Humility, kindness, compassion, all that great stuff. Joy, laughter. It's it's one of the things that we set Elevated Planet for up in the first place was, it's that love, that laughter, lifestyle connection that we all have as our birthright, but we have to choose it because we have free will. We're encouraged to give our power away to, let's say, the powers that were, because they are no longer ruling the way that they used to, and they're getting weaker by the day. We're encouraged to give our power away to others, whereas once you start to get the joke and realize we are all powerful and we come together, we are incredibly powerful. And we start to pull that energy of chaos out from the mixer, which is the way it's designed, right? You hit the planet with loads and loads of energy over decades, particularly now. Now we're seeing so much solar activity going on, hitting the planet through our depleted electromagnetic field. What's going to happen to that? Well, we have a choice. We can channel some of that energy into higher frequency energy that creates new Earth, our fifth dimensional existence and our world of unspeakable beauty, which is where we are heading. So for those who choose it, that's where we're heading. And I do think the great solar flash, which I believe is destined to happen before 2030, is going to make a huge difference. And people fear the great solar flash because it changes everything. Don't fear it. You have the right. You have the right to be afraid. It is a choice you can make, if that's what you prefer. The Swedish, I think it is, have, or certainly the Scandinavians have a quote which is, "Worry is like a rocking chair. It'll give you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere." I like that. It doesn't do any good. Focus your energies into the higher frequencies. I understand that everybody goes through dark nights of the soul. Everybody has reasons why. You may not feel joyful in any moment, but it's also a case of learning to sit on your eagle's perch, as Pam Gregory often puts it. So you can look down at the dramas that are being fed your way, the narratives that are being fed your way, which you're being encouraged to accept as your reality, knowing you don't have to anymore. And you can just watch the drama unfolding, see it for what it is, distancing yourself from it. And you know what? You will feel so much better about you. You will become a beacon for the people around you. And say, well, why aren't they angry? Why aren't they in division? Why don't they hate immigration now? Why are they not worried about this, that, and the other? Well, I choose not to. because I choose to create a better future and a better now. We only have the now moment, right? That's all we ever have is the now moment. But we can learn from the past. We have to we live the present and we create our future. That's just the way it is. But when we realize how powerful we are, we can take this energetic influx that comes into the planet, and Gaia Mother Earth is working on this herself, right? She will do what she needs to do to get rid of the old energies. There she goes. Now the dog are going out to explore what's going on the landing. But yeah, it's a tremendous opportunity to really step into your power. You don't need a guru. You are your own guru. But connect with yourself, connect with the higher self, connect with all that good stuff that is your birthright and it's part of who you are for your journey. So this may sound like deluded nonsense because maybe this is not your time yet for the awakening process. But I would say that if you've got this far into the video, there's a strong chance that you're already on your journey. And maybe you're kind of like thinking, well, some of it may sound a bit deluded, but some of it also resonates. Wherever you are on your journey, I honor that. Everybody is unique for a reason because it's a strength. We're all pieces in a giant cosmic jigsaw puzzle. No two pieces are identical. That is for a purpose. That is for a reason. And a lot of people are still to awaken, and that is as it should be as well. It all comes down to divine timing. It'll be part of your pre-birth soul plan for this journey to have your activation at some point. That activation may be the great solar flash, or it may be before that. I think by the time we get to the great solar flash, the frequency on the planet and for humanity will be raised to a point where you will just know things have changed for good. And you can choose to drop into fear, but it is totally unnecessary. But for some, they will choose that. 3 days of darkness that follows that, if that is actually the way that it plays out, is not again to be feared. Got a little fly coming around here. Go on your way. But it's all part of a divine process. So everything is in divine order. Just remember that. Everything is exactly as it's supposed to be. Chaos and all. And anybody who is leaving the planet over the subsequent months, and I do believe there's a good chance that happens, is because it was also in their life plan. It's something, Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh. And I've heard this elsewhere as well in many different ways. Nobody leaves the planet before they have agreed at a soul level to do so. I don't know, maybe there's a major earthquake and many, many thousands of people die, or more wars and all this kind of thing. Everybody worked it, when people created that soul plan, they created it that they would be exiting at this point. And what happens when you die? You go back to paradise. So we don't need to fear it. We are going to grieve those that we love, that we lose. Okay, that's a necessary part of life as well. That's part of your soul growth plan. That's how it works. But if we do see a lot of people exiting, just know it was their choice to do that. It may not have been a conscious choice. It was a choice before they actually were born into their body. It's fascinating, isn't it? It really is. I love this. I could talk for hours, but I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm going to bail out at this point. So this is John Drew on behalf of Elevated Planet and the Twiglet Zone, wishing you a wonderful day and high frequency choices to shift chaotic energy into the world that you want, not the world that is currently facing off at us right now. Lots of love.